Today, 5 workers. I'll introduce them one by one, who will speak to our principles and values. And the first one of those is Iris Scott. Iris?
I am Iris Scott, a convention delegate with Local 1459 in Massachusetts, and I'm a produce clerk. I worked admissions in higher education, but I left and started to work in grocery because I wanted to be part of a strong and democratic union. Our name holds significance. We are essential workers for democracy because democracy is what we deserve in our unions. When you look up democracy, one of the definitions is control of an organization or group by the majority of its members. We are the rank and file members of UFCW, and we are over 1 million strong. But we don't currently have a democracy within our union with which the members have control. There is no union without us. There is no UFCW without us. I'm standing here today, a delegate of UFCW's 9th convention, because of the democratic process set in place by Local 1459. That process has allowed me, a rank and file worker, to come here and have my voice heard. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, but what about the other thousands of workers in my local? And what about the other hundreds of thousands of workers across the US and Canada? In my view, I'm here to represent the voice of rank and file workers, but a true democracy is one in which every single voice is heard. The right to vote is fundamental to a functional democracy, and unions must ultimately be accountable to rank and file membership. Our one member, one vote works, and some 20 other national unions have shown that it does. These include Teamsters, UAW, USW, and more. Right now, UFCW's top officials are elected by delegates at the convention. More than half of the largest locals delegates this year are paid staffers who understandably feel pressure to vote the way their leaders do. We are supporting Amendment 5, so all UFCW members are able to vote via mail for international officers during elections, which regularly occur every 5 years. It is time that all members, the very people who are the union, have a say in our leadership.
That's right.
Did Iris tell it?
Yeah.
Please, let's welcome next Enrique Romero.
Hello. I am Enrique Romero. I'm a convention delegate with Local 3000 in Washington State. We support Amendments 16 and 17, requiring International to spend at least 20% of its budget on organizing and allocating additional funds to the SPUR program. I've seen the struggle of the International. Oh, excuse me. Let me introduce myself. How about that? Normally, I'm a pickup clerk in Washington State, but I'm taking time to work on this. Normally, I work in grocery retail. And I've seen the struggle of the International to organize with my own eyes. I've seen Starbucks form their own union. We've seen Trader Joe's do the same. Hell, my home store itself was only about half unionized. The drive to organize was completely from the wishes of the members themselves. They brought it up, they did it, they drove it through with the help of our local. And the initiative from the members within that store got it unionized wall to wall. If spending on organizing isn't cut in half, then maybe we don't lose the 100,000 some odd members. If we don't lose the 100,000 some odd members, then maybe we could build more support and leverage in the fight for fair wages and benefits.
Yeah.
And if we build that support to fight and win, then maybe I wouldn't have to sell plasma to make ends meet.
Thanks, Enrique. Next, we have Ian Kelly. Ian.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ian.
Hi, I'm Ian Kelly, Union Steward with Local 1459. I'm a cashier normally. I know my customers. I have my regulars who come in to only see me. I care about them in my own way and they care about me. I am essential. Which is why striking is one of the most powerful tools that we workers have. UFCW members have demanded that the International support the right to strike by removing the burdensome red tape and stop making striking workers pay for their first 2 weeks of strike benefits. For example, LA teachers won a 30% increase in pay for only 3 days of striking. As of right now, the UFC International Strike Fund expenditures fell from $931,000 in 2013 to $259,000 in 2022. That is an 80% drop in funding when adjusted for inflation, which is why we support amendments 7 through 11, which removes the burdensome red tape as it stands, changing the 2/3 to a simple majority strike, giving the power to the locals to strike instead of the international. And just as importantly, first day strike pay, so workers don't have to choose between feeding their families and striking for better benefits. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian. That was fantastic. Next is Ray Lanning. Ray? Welcome, Ray, please.
Hi there, I'm Ray Lanning, convention delegate with Local 365 from Washington State. I work in a local library. I help people do everything from finding their next favorite book to printing boarding passes to finding local housing and food resources. The nepotism in the current system at UFCW International means that DC-based staff, executive board members vote for whatever their supervisors want. Abuses of power can especially be seen in runaway officer pay. When many UFCW members are struggling to make ends meet, some experiencing homelessness, local UFC presidents are making as high as $700,000 a year in wages. These are member paid dues, and members demand that they be used to help us, not the people at the top.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, we had 5 UFCW presidents making over $400,000 a year. We support amendments 1 through 4 and 12 through 14. These amendments will mandate more rank and file members and local officers on the international board rather than international staff.
Thank you so much, Ray. That was also fantastic. Batting cleanup is someone who is many, many things, but one of the things, a big note here, is she is the president of our new organization, Essential Workers for Democracy, Kyung Berry.
My favorite saying is, I am standing. My name is Keon Berry, and I'm a convention delegate for UFCW 3000. And I'm a grocery worker. We are all essential. I work at Safeway, Albertsons for 21 years, and my customers are my family. I see them more than my family. I know when their appointments are to their doctors. I know when they're having surgery. I know when they're having birthday parties or weddings. So, and they feel that I am part of their family. We, at the convention, the delegates are paid staffers, like 60% of them. That's unheard of, and it's wrong. We, the members, need to be delegates.
Right.
Yep. our staff at our local are very hard workers and they do is very great work, but they work for us, the rank and file. And they know our issues and our needs. Those are the things they work for. Approximately 60% of convention delegates are paid staff. Is that ridiculous?
Yeah.
We asked the press to ask UFCW International what the real percentage is, because they do know. They have a credentials committee that knows all the numbers. So please ask.
There we go.
We support amendment 15 and 6, changes the formula representation at the International Convention by making the distribution of delegates more equitable and allows for full per capita roll call voting at the convention. This means that voting at the convention will be decided by tallying the votes of each individual delegates rather than delegation voting as a whole. Yes. It will show whose side they're on and what they're voting for. Per capita roll call voting will allow delegates to be held accountable as individuals for their votes. Currently, only the votes of each local are tabulated. So as the president of UFCW, Essential Workers for Democracy, we want 100% democracy at our local. I don't understand why a union would be not democratic. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and we're gonna have a great delegation.
Thank you, Kyung. How about Kyung? Get ready. Did these workers overcome some fear to speak out, some of them for the first time? Are we proud of them? I just want to personally thank every one of them. I know it's not easy sometimes to speak for the first time publicly, but they are the heart of this movement, and they've been volunteering their time to revitalize this union. We recognize that this is the beginning of a long revitalization battle. We have no illusions. It's taken years in the Teamsters and the United Auto Workers Union, years and decades actually, to revitalize those unions, and they're still at work doing that job. We're heartened that rank and file members like these 5 workers are eager to lead. I personally, it's just so refreshing to hear one after another rank and file members talking about real lives, what's going on. In some ways, this convention is an unreal experience in their workplaces with their co-workers. That's where the reality is. Please understand, this convention is the beginning for Essential Workers for Democracy. This convention, and same with other unions. We're very positive about bringing essential workers back into focus where they belong. We do this by bringing democratic principles back into our labor unions. And with that, let's give a big hand one more time. And we're now open for questions.
Can you or whoever wants to speak to it, talk a little bit about the plan to carry this forward after the convention? Is there going to be a structure that carries this forward, like TDU, and sort of what's the long time outlook after the convention?
Yeah, I'll begin the answer and see if some others want to chime in. We anticipate, we haven't decided, maybe to have our own convention of essential workers across this continent sometime in 2024. We're going to be spending the next year talking deeply to workers like these, because we know they're out there all across the country. So that's step number 1. And really, I think we don't want to make a whole lot of other decisions until we are talking to many more workers so they can make these decisions for themselves. But anyone else want to chime into that?
I'm good right now.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I'd also.
Yeah, please, go for it.
As far as the future goes, the way my work with the Essential Workers for Democracy has gone, and the perspective that I'm kind of seeing is the question comes up for me is like, who watches the watchman? Where do you go when your union maybe is your last resort and the support or the resources just aren't there? This is a Essential Workers for Democracy is a great resource for when you maybe need a little something extra that you don't know where to find. At the very least, we can point you in the right direction. So another resource for sure.
I feel it's important education.
Oh.
I feel it's important to educate the rank and file. We need to go back to the beginning of unions where the workers are the ones that formed it. The workers decided what the issues are. The workers fought for the benefits, and it was all led by the workers because they do the work. So we need to educate and we need to activate and we need to start moving and making these changes that we shouldn't even have to think about making, but we do. So that's our goal.
Any other questions? Yes,
I'll ask one
you in the
more.
back.
I'll ask one more since I'm here, since they wouldn't give me a press pass for the convention, but can any of you all tell me kind of what the atmosphere is like inside the convention? Is it, I want to say hostile, but is it tense? Is it, what's the atmosphere like inside?
A little contentious,
The reaction.
a little contentious, especially walking in yesterday, and they're kind of aggressive in the walkway. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a little contentious as we were walking down the hallway. It's a little aggression chants towards us.
What's your name?
I'm Jeff Turkney, Safeway out of Spokane. Yeah, that was kind of like didn't know how to accept that on like my first convention. So, but I'm just gonna take it in as I'm walking in today and say, bring it on.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think you've touched a nerve here because I've heard from a lot of people about what happened yesterday. And I want to say, I think two things about it. One, we're here, we're focused, and we're honored to be with one another to talk about principles and values and what we believe in. And I think people had some strong reactions to, it seemed like a very harsh and kind of divisive approach that was taken yesterday. Not very welcoming, but I want to hear from some folks who just want to speak to that. If most people have already talked, yeah. And then you know.
So my name is Jeff Smith. I'm from the state of Washington, part of Local 3000. I work for Fred Myers out of the Snohomish store as a non-food receiving clerk. Yesterday, the International was trying to use strong arm tactics of the past to try to get their way when the vote comes later today. It's not going to happen. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's a very democratic process, and they don't seem to want to be engaged in that. They want to behave like the unions of the late 1900s and early 20th century. This is 21st century, folks. We need to get real about this, and they need to get real about this because we're not going to stop until we get where we're going.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. I think we have another impromptu speaker. Please introduce yourself.
Zion Radio, rank and file union member, UFC 3000 from Washington, bud tender at Have a Heart.
Yeah.
It was very interesting walking down a hallway and having a bunch of people yell angry things. They don't necessarily know us. I suspect that not all of them were staffers. Some of them had to be rank and file union members, and which leads me to suspect that they don't really understand what we're fighting for. Because technically we're fighting for them too.
Yeah.
And so having like some lady jumped in front of me and told me to get alive. Right. That's it. That was my same reaction. I was like, what? I'm like, I'm trying to figure out the depth of this. And I really wanted to stop each person that was chanting in our faces and really peel back the layers to see how much they understand. Because it sounds like they're just carrying out a narrative that was given to them. And you can tell when people don't want to talk about it, where it's like, it is what it is, and that's the way it is. So we want to go deeper. That's what we're here for do.
Yeah.
What was your name again, brother?
Zion.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your words.
Here's a
We
press
have
question.
another press question online.
What institutional barriers with the national bylaws are in the way of the rank and file taking over leadership?
Great question. What institutional barriers with the national bylaws or the Constitution, I think they mean, United Food and Commercial Workers Constitution, are in the way of the rank and file taking over leadership? One thing I must say first is Essential Workers for Democracy does not engage in electoral politics or officers' elections in terms of who's running. We do care a lot about the process for how people get elected. Want to make that distinction. But with that, I think we've got some people who probably want to comment on that question.
I do,
Yeah, go ahead.
because the way a lot of the locals vote their delegates in is they're appointed and they're officers, local 3,000 and many of us have votes. We have to ask the members to vote for me, and this is why. So we want every local to send their delegates by one vote, one member, one vote. That's that is the only way unions should be doing it. Period.
Thank you, Tom. We have someone else who wants to speak to this, but let me just say that there are over 20 international unions right now who have one member, one vote, one form of one member, one vote. And so it's been normalized. Two recent unions include the Teamsters International Union, or Brotherhood of Teamsters, and the United Auto Workers. And they did that through years of struggle to get there. And we think this is an essential, foundational democratic principle to win all the things that we need, which is these workers' voices in their own union. So, we good?
Sure.
Iris is going to speak. Thank you.
Yeah, one member, one vote, just like they were both saying, is vitally important to not just us in the room here, everyone across the United States and Canada that UFCW represents. How can we truly know where this union should be going without the voices of the members themselves? And another thing that we're pushing for is to have automatic spots for rank and file members
On the board.
on the board. We deserve to be there. This is our union.
Yeah.
We know the struggles on the shop floor.
Yeah.
The people at the very top making those high bloated salaries do not. And we deserve to have a spot at that table.
This one member, one vote question, and there are counter arguments. And I just want to say, if you think deeply, as the brother said earlier, think deeply about what's going on one member, one vote. They all the counter arguments boil down to distrusting the members to have a say in their union. It boils down to that. And workers can absolutely lead this union. They do it in lots of other unions. And we're gonna win that. There's no question about that. Are we gonna win that? Yeah. Introduce yourself,
Yeah,
please.
my name is Joan Heller. I'm a proud member of UFCW Local 7 of 30 years. I'm here to say that it's not just important to be one member, one vote. You also need boots on the ground on the board. There is no question that the people who are leading this union don't understand what our members go through every single day. At one of the previous conventions I was elected to go to by my union, I was told that I'm just, and the word just was emphasized, a shop steward, and that's all. And that's all I'm ever going to be. Well, I got news. As a woman, we have fought for a lot of things, including the right to vote. We have lots of people here with different ethnicities who have fought to lead. For their David Byrd would say, we're the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Right, just please say your name, your local, and what city or what state you're in.
Joan Heller, UFCW Local 7 out of Colorado.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this question on one member, one vote? Please. And your name, where you're from. Thanks, brother.
Hi, I'm Brian Gilderoy. I'm from local UFCW 3000 in Seattle, Washington. I'm speaking about the one member, one vote because I feel disenfranchised as a member when it comes down to this. Rank and file members make up a majority of the union. And the fact that staff is in charge of our decisions and speaking on our behalf, you don't get the heart of things. That we're not the ones that go to DC to get laws passed on our safety and stuff that we need passed. And so they don't really become laws because it's not from rank and file members. It's we're the ones busting our butts, stocking shelves, knees bleeding. I can't tell you how many people have achy backs. And that does come across when he's speaking to a congressperson, not somebody who is a paid lobbyist to be there. And yet for some reason, they choose to send the lobbyists and not the members. That doesn't make sense to me. So that's the reason why I'm in favor of one person, one vote.
So again, thank you very much. I just want to say that, ask a question rather to the group. So there's 1,300 delegates right now. If the room was filled with, let's just say 90% rank and file members of that 1,300, do you think that we would have voting at this convention an amendment to pass one member, one vote?
Yeah.
Right, it's just obvious on its face, right? That's one of the problems here is who is actually at this convention, and we have more to say about that. We'll be getting back to you about that more. Is there anything else? Okay, with that, thank you, press, for being here. And I just want to urge you again to ask the International Union for their records of the breakdown between staff and rank and file members who are participating in this convention. Thank you so much, and thank the workers.